This is Andi Purewal for ID Boxing. I'm joined by Josh Taylor here in Liverpool. Josh, that seemed like a brutal session and one that I'm thankful that I'm on this side of the camera doing and I'm not being filmed.
Yeah, it was a pretty hard session and topped off with the sort of little bit of jet lag as well, so I was extra tired, but no, it was good, got through it and yeah, pushed through, so yeah, it was a good session.
Obviously that jet lag comes from your trip stateside as you had your fight officially announced with Teofimo Lopez, June 10th, New York, Madison Square Garden. Josh, before we come on to the fight itself, you went out there to America this past weekend. You was in Newark for the Shakur Stevenson show to announce the fight. You turned up, Teofimo didn't, despite being from New York, which isn't too far from Newark. Yeah. Did you expect him to be there? Were you told he would be there?
I got there and then they told me once I arrived that he's not here, he's down in Miami, he's way to watch a fucking UFC show or something like that. So yeah, it was quite, I thought it was a little bit sort of disrespectful, you know. I flew over there to go and announce the fight and make a thing of the fight, and he never even bothered to turn up, you know. So I had to change all my schedule and change all round about what I'm doing, you know. So I've had to take yesterday when I got home, and because it wasn't a direct flight either, because once my visa got accepted, they then booked the flights, but all the flights were booked up because of Easter weekend. So I had to fly to Paris, stay in Paris for like 4 hours, and then Paris there, and the same on the way back. So it was quite a long trip, you know, for kind of a waste of time really. But I was over there, did my part, announced the fight, did the interview and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good, but kind of took me out my sort of routine for a few days, which was crap.
Why do you think that Teofimo didn't turn up? I know you said he's gone to the UFC, but also I imagine he would have thought about it from a fight perspective. He'd have known, oh well, Josh is going to travel over here, brings him out of sync of his camp for a few days, maybe a week, and also he saves him having to kind of come face to face with you and having to deal with that engagement. Do you think any of that would have crossed his mind?
Maybe, possibly, I don't know. You need to ask him, but I think so, yes. You mean, we were in Newark, which is only 20 minutes from Brooklyn where he stays, you know, and he's decided to go away and watch a UFC fight, which was whatever, you know, but you'd think that it's been the biggest fight of his career, really, and he decided not to do it. But anyway, I'm not really too bothered anyway, you know. It is what it is. We're going to face each other on the 10th of June, and that's when it matters, you know. So I'm not really too fussed anyway, but it was a bit of a wasted trip for myself, you know, to come away for 4 days and not really do much. I managed to get a little couple of sessions in while I was there, but I'm kind of out my schedule, do you know what I mean? So it was kind of a wasted trip, but got the fight announced, got over there, got my face over there, and it's buzzing over there. The buzz is unbelievable for this fight, so it's good.
I imagine that buzz was quite big as well on the back of obviously watching Shakur. But sticking with yourself, this fight, when you look at Teofimo, how do you approach this fight, or rather, how do you think he approaches it? How does it play out when you step between the ropes?
I don't really care how he approaches it. You know, all I'm focusing on myself is making sure that I'm in my right condition, right good, you know, nursing this injury well, progressing well with it. So I'm just focusing on myself and getting myself in the best nick possible. So it's good. We're going to face each other on the 10th of June, and I'm not caring what version shows up. I'm there to do a job and there to demolish him. That's the job. That's the aim.
You're adamant in your segment on the live stream that you will stop Teofimo Lopez when you share a ring. Added pressure you put on yourself, but how do you expect that one to come about?
I just think with his style and the way he fights, I think I can knock him out. You know, I think he leaves the cell open, and I can walk him onto a shot, and I can definitely open him up like a tin of beans and put him under pressure and make him fold. I've watched him a lot, so I know what mistakes he makes and how his style is. So I know what I can do, and I know I can stop him. You know, I'm not putting pressure on myself saying I am going to stop him, but I definitely think I can. And I'm not be looking for it either, because then when you go looking for it, it never comes. So I know I can hit him with good shots, and I know he leaves his cell open, so he exposes himself quite a lot.
Josh, it's obviously will be close to a year and a half by the time you do step between the ropes on June 10th. That delay at this stage of your career, are there any concerns on that front, trying to manage that, obviously getting the weight back down?
No, my weight's good. You know, obviously I learned that lesson the last time after Vegas winning all the titles. I went away out enjoyed life a little bit too much, ate a wee bit too much food, drank a little bit too much alcohol, stayed out the gym, and like almost paid the price for it in my next performance. You know, it was a terrible performance. You know, I left the weight cut away to the last minute, and sort of just I made the mistakes, just focusing on the fight. So I've learnt that lesson. You know, I've learnt that lesson not to do that again. The one and only time I've done it in my whole life, sort of kind of got distracted and let the goal and the vision go a little bit and enjoyed a little bit life too much. Normal life too much. It's the first time I've been a sort of normal guy for a little while, and I did it for a little bit too long and left it too late to get back in the gym and do my diet, and I'll not be doing all that again. So made that mistake, and you learn from your mistakes. So my weight's good. I'm back to my old self in terms of walking around. I'm only like 72, 73 kilos, so I'm strong and fit and trim. So I've learned that lesson.
Josh, at the time when you defeated Jose Ramirez, there was a lot of talk about you potentially moving up, or as you said, you wanted at least one defence of the titles back home in Scotland. You got that defence, you had your hands raised, you held the titles, and then you move forward. Now the Catterall rematch doesn't happen, now you land on Teofimo. How much longer do you actually feel you have left at 140 though? I
think I can do it 140, I need to keep a little bit more discipline now. I'm just getting a little bit older, so the weight goes on a little bit more, but it takes a little bit more time to get back off. So I learned that the last time, and that's what I need to do. So I'm more disciplined now. I'm back to where I am. I'm keeping more disciplined with my diet and things like that, which is good. So I can make the weight. I've did all tests that I can make the weight, and I'll do it comfortably as well. But for me, it's still the goal. Still the goal is to become a two-weight world champion, to keep that ambition, to keep the desire in the belly. I've achieved all I can at 140. What else can I do? What else can I do? Is I've won all the titles. I've beat 6 unbeaten guys on the road to becoming undisputed world champion. I'm the first guy to do it in the UK ever. So what else is there for me to achieve at the sport at that weight category is nothing. So. But there is still big fights. There's the Teofimo fight here, which is a huge fight. There's a rematch with Catterall again, is down the line. There's a rematch with Prograis down the line. You've got Devin Haney coming up and all them. So the division's heating back up. So there is still big fights. But in terms of achievement-wise, there's nothing left for me to do. So the only thing for me is for achievement-wise and ambitions-wise, is to go up weight and become a two-weight world champion, and that's what I intend on doing.
Have you thought about?
I think at welterweight I'll be much natural and stronger, so I think at welterweight will suit me.
That does lead into my next question. With you holding on to the one title, which when you move up it enables you to challenge for whoever's the champion at the time. Currently it's obviously held by Terence Crawford. Is that particularly one of the reasons why you felt that you wanted to, out of all of them, keep the WBO, because you knew it would have guaranteed you a shot at the title holder at the weight above? Well,
I'd let go of all the rest of the ones. If I was to rematch the Catterall fight straight away, it'd have been impossible because all the mandatories were coming in. So it was impossible for me to keep a hold of the belts. So I let go of them. The WBC one would have been the Zepeda fight, which was a good fight. I would have been up for that one. But I'd just got married and I was just going away. I was going to go on my honeymoon, but then I thought, right, I've got this fight coming up now. And then I thought, I've not got enough time, so left it, and I vacated that one as well. And then I was left with the WBO, and I thought, right, well, if I'm staying at the weight, I'm the undisputed champion. I'm not letting go of all my belts without fighting for it, So I'm keeping this one, and the rematch was on. In a bit, mate. In a bit. And so I thought, I'll keep this one, and we got the fight done, signed. We were just about to announce it. At the Liam Smith fight, but I'd injured my foot that week, and then here we are. So it's when I got injured, the WBO come in and then said, right, we're ordering you to fight your mandatory, which is Teofimo Lopez. So I thought, right, here we go. So yeah, here we are. But yeah, for me, I think it's a bigger fight. I think it's a tougher fight. It's over in Madison Square Garden as well, the mecca of boxing, which is another one ticked off my list, So me right now, I could retire right now after this fight and say I'm happy with what I've achieved in my sport. I've achieved things that 99% of other boxers only dream of achieving. So I can happily retire tomorrow and say I've had a good career, So But that's not me, that's not my style. I'm ready, I'm hungry and still hungry and want to achieve more in the sport. I want to become a two-weight world champion eventually and go down history in the history books as a great fighter.
Josh, I'm sure you're probably fed up of talking about Jack Catterall now, especially at this point now. You've got a different fight to look towards and, as you've mentioned, a bigger fight for yourself to look forwards to in Teofimo Lopez. But we've just seen him team up with Matchroom, and you've mentioned you're somebody you always want to get up for those big fights. No doubting that a rematch there would be a huge fight now on the back of your first one. But do you think now the pair of you are kind of going your separate routes? You know, you're going the Teofimo route and imagine looking at other options, and Jack signing with Matchroom makes it a bit more difficult to try and make a fight, and he looks like he's got his own career being planned out now.
Well, he's on his own route as well, so he's fighting on May, I think, and then other fights, but then we'll see what happens. It's always there, like, no, regardless. I don't see how. I mean, obviously he's with Eddie and Matchroom and I'm with Top Rank and Sky, so there's that little bridge to cross, but I'm pretty sure it can be made pretty easily.
A Regis Prograis rematch, I think everybody would love to see that one again. I don't know if you'd agree, be another brutal fight for you, but the fans would love it. Has that crossed your mind at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, after this fight, I win this fight, you know, I'll be looking at other big fights as well, so he's still number 2 in the division, Regis Prograis, believe it or not. I'm still the champ. They're still on my belts. I know I've let go of them and they've won them through default, really, and fought for them and vacant titles and stuff. But they're my belts, so really still number 2. So yeah, absolutely, I absolutely love a rematch with him. We've actually spoke about it before, and when we met each other in Dubai and things like that, we actually spoke about it. It'd be a great fight. So absolutely, it's another huge fight.
Josh, one fight I'm interested to know if you'd ever entertain. You mentioned Devin Haney earlier on, and he could well be moving up. A lot of people think that he hasn't got much longer left at 135. People expected after the Kambosos fight he'd potentially move up. Instead, he's got Lomachenko. You were both being trained by Ben Davison at one point in your careers recently. Yeah. Do you expect to see a potential fight there? Have you spoken about it with your team? And if so, have you seen anything of Devin when you might have crossed paths?
No, I've not really. I've only met Devin once or twice in person. I've not really saw him much. Met him the last time we were over in Vegas with Ben and stuff. Yeah, very good fighter, very sharp shooter. And yeah, I think he'll be moving up to 140 soon. After probably either whichever way this fight goes with Loma, he'll be moving up, I think. So yeah, it's a tasty fight, absolutely. You never say never in the sport. You can fight anybody. So, absolutely, they're all massive fights.
What do you make of his fight with Lomachenko?
I think it's a very interesting fight. I think, for me, I just think he's a little bit too big for Loma. He's tall, he's big, and he's strong. He's young and he's sharp and he's fresh. You know, so I just think he's got all that on his side, and I think that he'll win then. But you can never count out Lomachenko. You know what I mean? He's an absolute great of the sport, and his angles and his footwork and the way he moves is unbelievable. But I just think, you know, he's been at the top for a long time. He's been here, there and everywhere. He's had well over 300 fights as an amateur and 2 Olympics and all that. So he's had a long career. I think he's at the other end of his career now. But still a very, very live dog in this fight, and it can go either way, but I'm edging towards Devin.
Josh, in the past I've asked you about Hank versus Tank. Next weekend we see Tank return against Ryan Garcia. Just get your take on that one. Can you break that fight down for me, please? Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this one, actually. This one's been... this is another one, the fight that's been talked about for a few years, so it's finally been made. I think it's been made at the right time. I think, you know, Garcia's got the speed and the sharpness on that left hook, but I just think that overall boxing brains and the sort of his little cuteness in movements, and I just think Tank all round is a better fighter, more powerful, got the better boxing IQ, better boxing brain, more experience. So I am just aiming a little bit towards Tank. I think he's just all round a little bit better than Garcia, but Garcia's got that speed and sharpness, so it's an interesting fight. But I'm going to go towards Tank, yeah.
Josh, obviously a stacked division at 135, 114 is heating up as well. One name, if there's one fight for you, you could face out of all those guys we've mentioned, even Shakur Stevenson we haven't mentioned. Who would you love to fight? Who would you love to share the ring with?
Any one of them, I like Lomachenko as well. I've always looked up to Lomachenko as an amateur. But going through the Olympics, I was in the same category as at the Olympics. If I had reached the final, that would have met him in the final. If I'd reached the final, I got beat just before the medal stages by Valentino. Sort of rubbed it off his, but I was bitterly disappointed with that. But yes, I've looked at Lomachenko for a long time and thought he was awesome. From afar, I've just admired his movements, his skills. I've actually learned a few things of him and sort of incorporated his style into my style a little bit. So I wouldn't mind sharing the ring with Lomachenko. He's a great. He's very good.
I'll leave that matrix for you to work out then, Josh, if it was to ever to happen. Just coming away from yourself, obviously, the camp's got a busy schedule ahead. Just start off with Liam Smith. I spoke to him earlier. He confirmed the Chris Eubank Jr. fight will now take place for rematch. That is looking at June time. Just your thoughts on that entire scenario, the delay, Junior potentially having faced Conor Benn, but in the end, Beefy versus Junior 2 is on the cards.
Yeah, I think it's a good fight anyway. I think the first one was very entertaining. While it lasted, I sort of had the eeksy peeksy. And yeah, it was a very, very interesting fight while it lasted. I knew that Liam, from watching him in here, and I watched some clips of Eubank sparring and stuff, I knew that he could stop him. And I think I was one of the only ones that says he was going to do it, and he did. Although I didn't think it would be quite in that fashion and that early. So it's a very exciting fight again. Obviously, I'm backing Liam. I think Liam will do the same thing. But it's an interesting fight for sure. The build up to the last one was quite tasty, so I think this one will be good as well.
I think you and Liam are going to cause Joe and Deck a few headaches because you're looking at June. Well, you are booked in for June 10th, and Liam's looking for June as well. So you might have some fighting to do for your trainer.
No, I don't think that will be the case. I don't think that will be the case. I think we all train together on that anyway, so we all mix in and got time slots and all that, so there will not be a problem there.
Just moving away from Beefy, obviously you've got JJ Metcalf, Kevin Agyarko, both sharing that May 20th card over in Dublin. Just seeing them both in the gym, how are they both looking?
Yeah, looking sharp. JJ's looking sharp, strong, fit. He's ready to get that title. So yeah, he's got the grip between his teeth. He's a real killer, JJ. I like the way he trains and his mentality. Real tough guy, and yeah, he can box a bit as well. So yeah, he's looking in great shape. Kevin's just back. He's just back from the injury from the hand. He's sort of getting back in and getting fit and stuff again. So yeah, everybody in the gym's flying now. Yeah, it's a good vibe. It's everybody in the gym's all buzzing off each other. So it's good.
Josh, former campmate of yours, Lee Wood, challenges Maurizio Lara on May 27th to try and regain his WBA title. We saw what happened in the first fight. Were you a fan of Lee going straight in for the immediate rematch?
Absolutely. Lee, I thought Lee was winning the fight, and I thought he was boxing beautiful. He was keeping him occupied with his lead hand and hit him with the body shots. He hurt Lara a few times with body shots, and you could see him wincing, and it looked like he was just about to start wilting, and then he just caught him with that shot, which can happen to anybody. So fair play to Lee and fair play to Lara for taking the rematch straight away and getting right back in there after he got knocked out. So I think that Lee can win this fight handily. I know he got caught the last fight, but that can happen to anyone. Getting caught with a shot like that. So I think Lee will win this fight this time, and I think he does the same thing, outboxes him and outsmarts him and gets his way to a victory.
And Josh, I just want to get your thoughts on Amir Khan's failed UKAD test after the Carl Brook fight now. I know within the gym itself, here at the Rotunda, it's PEDs within boxing, certainly a passionate topic you're all passionate about, and not very happy when you see news like this break. What were your thoughts when you saw that news about Amir Khan?
Very disappointing. It's happened far too often. He's saying they're saying they don't know how this stuff ends up in their system, but how does drugs like that end up in your system? They keep saying contamination and this and that. It's like you're responsible for what goes in your body. So it's like I don't know how they keep saying, I don't know how this has happened, and shaking hands and whatever. I don't know. It doesn't look good, does it? I think UKAD come back and says he's never intentionally, he's never intentionally done it, but so you can't say that he did. But it just doesn't look great for Scottish boxing, British boxing, UK boxing. When this keeps coming out, it's not a great look.
And just a couple of quick
I'd
topics.
like to just want to say that, because I've been an admirer of Khan for a long time. You know, I've known him for years as well. Comes up to Loch End, and his friends up in Edinburgh come up quite a lot. So I see him quite often. So I'm a big fan of Khan. But I hope that is the case, because I've admired him since the Olympics. He's, I think, in my opinion, one of the best in the UK to ever do it. You know, in terms of achievement wise, and the career that he had, and the fights that he had, and his hand speed, everything. He was just awesome fighter. You know, and the fights that he got beaten were against top level fighters. So I hope that is the case. I just really hope that is the case for him. You know.
Many will agree that Amir's obviously done a lot for British sport. Just got a couple to end on though, Josh. We saw Anthony Joshua returning against Jermaine Franklin last weekend. Went to points, didn't see that explosive finish many had hoped for, a lot of question marks after, and now he's announced he won't return until December. Just want to get your thoughts on the version of Anthony Joshua we saw, his performance, his win, and his decision to stay out of the ring until the end of the year.
Well, he got the win, that's all that matters really. He got the win, he got the result. He was coming off 2 losses, you know, so he couldn't really win anyway, you know, because when they selected that opponent for him, it's not a great opponent. He's knocked him out in a couple of rounds, and so it was kind of a lose-lose for Joshua. It was doubted as a crap opponent, and if he doesn't get him out of there, goes the distance, he's not the same. So he was going to take heavy criticism anyway, which is quite bad, you know, because almost everybody coming off losses go back to building up fights and things like that. So I felt a little bit bad for him in that way, with the pressure and the expectation and stuff. So, but having said that, in this fight, I didn't think he looked that great. He got the job done. He kept it simple, kept it boxing. He shut out win. That's all you can ask for, really. But in terms of the old style Joshua, I just thought that wasn't there. The sort of the killer destroyer sort of style of Josh earlier in a few years, I just thought that wasn't there. I thought he looked a little bit stiff and sort of rigid, and kind of looked like almost scared of getting hit. Just my opinion, I thought he almost looked kind of shy of getting hit and being in the firing line to swap punches, and I just thought he looked a little bit shy that way. But I can't give too much criticism. It might be moving another coach again, you know, getting used to his new surroundings over in America, new coaches, new camp, and that can take a little bit of time as well. You know, I've experienced it myself. I've been quite lucky here with Joe. I've hit the ground running, and all the lads in the gym, everyone's been great. But a lot of the time it can take a little bit time to get to know people and things like that. So it's maybe that was part of it as well. But yes, he's taking his time to come back. He doesn't need to rush to fight all the time anyway. You know, he's had a great career. He's had a monstrous career. He's made a lot of money and been in big fights. So he can do what he wants. He can take his time and pick his fight, what he wants to do next, and see what he wants to do.
Josh, one fight which I forgot to get your thoughts on, Romero and Alberto Puello, obviously picking up one of your vacant, the title that you had vacated. Your thoughts on that fight, and if you'd entertain a fight with either of them, especially Romero, who's not shy of a few words going into a fight.
Yeah, I've only seen a little bit of Romero, a little bit. I think that was only against Tank Davis I saw him, so I've not really saw too much of him. He looks like he punches hard. He looks like he's got a lot of power, and I've not seen Puello box either, so I can't really comment too much. But obviously, I'd be game to fight anybody, you know. So see what happens.
Just before I let you go, Josh, a bit more of a sombre note to end on. Obviously, I know a Scottish boxing idol of yours sadly passed away recently in Ken Buchanan. I know somebody you looked up to, somebody who'd achieved a great deal in his own career. Just some parting words from yourself on Ken.
Yeah, Ken, for myself, was, I know Scotland and the UK have had a lot of good fighters, brilliant fighters in the past. But for me, Ken Buchanan was the best ever Scotland's ever had. Just because of the sort of closeness I've sort of had to him, similarities. You know, my first coach was from Preston Pans, was one of his sons. His wife was from Preston Pans, my hometown and stuff as well. The way he fought, the way he won his titles away abroad and things like that as well. And I've just known him since I was about 17, 18, coming into the gym and giving me advice and telling me how to live life and how to do this and how to do that, and watching me spar and hitting the bags and just having a good laugh with him and that as well, you know, and just having a good crack with him and things like outside of the gym and things like that. And we went to LA together and as well, and the love that that man got over in America, I noticed when we went, was unbelievable. You know, he was worshipped over in America, like how he had all his fights over there, and we come back and the lack of recognition that man got was criminal for his achievements and the stature of fighter that he was. The lack of recognition and mentions and things that he got over the years was criminal, because hardly anybody's done it the way he done it. You know, he was a real original road warrior. You know, I think he had like 67 fights or something like that, and only had 4 in the UK, and the rest were on the road, and fighting absolute monsters. And for me, I just thought, you know, for him not to get the recognition and get given that respect that I thought he deserved, he should have, when he come back, he should have been celebrated the rest of his life, and he wasn't. I thought that was criminal. So for me, I thought he's the best Scottish fighter ever, and I've looked up to him both as a person and a fighter, and I just hope he gets a good send off in the 25th year, and I hope he rests well.
I'm sure many people will echo those calls there for him to rest well. And Josh Taylor, I appreciate you doing this interview. I can leave a final message to you before I let you go. We did an interview in Manchester most recently when I asked you to look down the camera and leave a message to Teofimo. The fight wasn't announced then, so you couldn't. But now you've got to, because the fight is announced. So
I've got nothing. I'll see you on June the 10th. Prepare hard. I'm going to whip your ass. That's it. You know, I'm looking forward to it in Madison Square Garden. Let's go.
Josh, a pleasure as always. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.